Hey guys, so this game will be very instructive for everyone who wants to learn the King's Indian defense especially. By the way, I played this game with fever and with cough. I thought initially that maybe I will not go and play, but I decided, okay, I have to play. I flew specifically for this tournament. I decided to sit a little bit further from my opponent to not be a source of contagion, but still to play. And it was a good game, actually. I played at like 93% accuracy. My opponent is a women candidate, Master Christina Kim from Kazakhstan. And she goes for a very principled line in the King's Indian, but a very risky one. And I will show you how to play against it. So this is the opening. With some move transpositions here, we get the classical standard position of the King's Indian defense, one of my favorite openings. Knight f3, castles, and she goes for the h3 g4 setup. There is another way to play this for white. Sometimes white plays h3 g4 without going knight f3. Sometimes white goes bishop e2 and then pushes g4 or f3 and g4. Lots of different ways to play this, but this is one of them. This is called the Petrosian variation, I think. But after d5, there are lots of different names. The normal variation is what chess.com gives. So here there are different moves. Knight a6 is one of them. Knight h5 is another one. But I first go a5. This is in my files. She goes g4. And now I go knight a6. So the idea of the move a5 is to prevent white from going b4 and to have this nice square for the knight on c5, where it will be putting pressure on the e4 pawn. That's the idea in many variations of the King's Indian defense. This one not excluded. She goes bishop e3 and I still go knight c5. Generally in such positions it's never a good idea for white to trade the bishop for the knight, because the other knight will rotate to d6. It will be an ideal blockading square for the knight. And this bishop, yes, it's maybe not as menacing as it could be now, but in future, the knight will rotate and the f-pawn will be pushed. And sooner rather than later, this bishop will be breathing again. And it's quite risky for white to take here. So she does not take. She goes knight d2, overprotecting this pawn. And now I go c6. Why do I go c6? It is a very important move in this position because white will not castle kingside. Definitely not castle kingside. With such pawns advanced h3, g4, it's a bad idea in such a position to castle kingside. Maybe white will castle queenside, but then I need to attack on the queenside. There will be the opposite side castling position where white will attack me on the king side and I will have to get to black's king or white's king on the queen side. So that's why c6 is very useful. Also, maybe I'll take and open the c file for the attack. Maybe white will not castle at all. Spoiler alert, in this game, white's king decided to remain in the center. But then I need to blow open the center. General chess principles. If your opponent's king is in the center, you need to open up the position in the center. So this is why c6 is very logical. Actually, it's a theoretical move. I did not remember the exact move orders in this variation, but I remember the ideas, and c6 is one of them. So bishop e2. Bishop e2 is a move that strengthens the defense of g4 pawn because it is attacked twice, and prepares, so two attackers, two defenders, and now the h3 pawn is no longer tied to the defense of the g4 pawn, and now it can freely march to attack me. That's the idea of bishop e2, to push the pawns. As I said, white has not just pushed these pawns to, like, for me to be afraid of them. No, the idea is to push them further. So what do? I go knight a8, rotating this knight backwards. My idea is not to be afraid and to blow open the center, because as I already said, if the king is in the center, I should blow it open, even though that could mean risks for me because my king is over there and these lines might become like the battlefield. So yeah, but if you're playing the King's Indian, you should be prepared for risks. So rook g1, she's anticipating the f5 move, and if I go f5 now, it's not good because she'll take and then she'll be able to put pressure over there. Probably, maybe not bishop h6 now, but in some further variations, this could be also the idea. Also h4, h5, h6 is an idea. So I'm not in a rush. Before going f5 in such positions, it's a good rule of thumb to first sidestep with a king h8, and only then push f5. So remember this. But if the rook is on h1, you should not go king h8, because then you will be attacked on the h file with h5, h4, h5, etc. So that's the important subtlety. You need to go king h8 here. Okay, knight f3. This is not a good move. I immediately realized it when she made the move. Because previously, remember, she went knight d2, and now she goes back to f3. So she spent 2 tempi. She gave me like 2 tempi odds. And I realized that now I'm like playing white instead of playing black, because I have an extra move. I'm the one who is putting pressure, and immediately I decide to attack her. I take first, opening up this file. She takes back, and now f5. So I'm opening this side of the board in case she decides to castle long, and I'm opening the center in case she decides to stay in the center. So she takes, and now she goes knight g5. Because if she takes here, this just helps me. I go bishop f5, and now my bishop is strong here. This bishop is also very dangerous. Potentially I'll go e4 with the pawn. And yeah, black is already better. So instead of taking here, she goes knight g5. She wants me to take for her to activate her pieces, and at least she's blocking this diagonal, not helping me develop my pieces. Instead, had she taken on f5, I remind you that that would have helped me develop with the tempo. So she goes knight g5. Also, in some variations, maybe there are some ideas of knight e6, but currently this square is protected many times. So I take, because I continue my idea of opening the position, because her king is still in the center. She takes with this knight, and here I calculate that I can take and go queen h4, actually a top engine move. Here I make several top engine moves in a row, which is nice. Of course, I didn't know that during the game, but later when checking the game, I was impressed with my play. So she goes bishop g4, a very logical move, by the way, blocking this because the knight was attacked. I go bishop h6. Strong move according to the engine, but it's very logical. I need to trade this dark squared bishop of mine because it's not very good. It's blocked by my own pawn. And her bishop is controlling lots of squares. Her bishop is much stronger than mine. Mine is controlling just 2 squares. Her is controlling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 squares. So it's a good way to compare pieces. How many squares do they control? Mine is not so good, so I can trade it. She goes here, I take. And now I go knight f6, another top engine move. So of course she can take this pawn, which is the top engine move for her. She doesn't do that because she probably calculated that this would have happened, attacking the queen and the f2 pawn. Actually, it's a crazy position. With some precise moves, white can retain equality. Queen g3 is the only move to do that. But still, it looks dangerous, and I can understand why she did not take this pawn. Instead, she decided to trade the knights. But now I take with the queen, and I'm putting pressure on the f-file. So if she castles, then she'll lose that pawn, and at least I'll be a pawn up, because the king is one of the defenders of the pawn. And otherwise, her king is still in the center, and she has to do something. If she takes here, she'll just helping me develop. I'll develop the rook, so of course she does not do that. She finds the best move according to the engine, rook c1. She wants me to take her instead, which I do, because it's the best move. What else can I do? I need to develop this rook, and it needs to get into the action. With the bishop standing on c8, it's like a useless rook. So I trade and go rook c8. Which is one of just 2 inaccuracies that I commit in this game. So this is the first one. Turns out, apparently, I should have gone rook f7, which is the best move, and then tripled on the f-file. I briefly considered this idea, but I did not find anything concrete. And I decided I'll trade a pair of rooks. Like if she takes, I'll take, and the SC file will belong to me. Turns out the engine finds some defense for white, and White can hold on to equality in this line, but sorry, as I told you, I'm a bit ill. It's hard because the king is in the center. Obviously, black is playing for a win here, but white can fight for a draw. But she has not found the best move. She goes here, which seems logical, but the problem is that I trade the rooks, and then I go queen f7, and I'm attacking this pawn. And also, I'm keeping an eye on the f2 pawn, and the queen should stay guarding this pawn. And the rook cannot defend the d5 pawn because the rook is not a bishop, and a rook cannot defend this pawn from d4 or c5 because those squares are controlled. So this pawn is hanging, and the only way to defend it is queen d2, which apparently is an inaccuracy, even though I thought it's a logical move. So this queen, remember, it has to stay guarding this pawn, and d2 is the only square where the queen guards both pawns. But it was better for her to just give up the d5 pawn, let me take it, and then try to hold on like this. Obviously, being down a pawn sucks, but it's not losing immediately. What she did was more logical. She tried to hold everything together, but here I find queen f3, which is the second inaccuracy according to the engine, even though it's like on higher depth. Actually, the engine says it's the best move. So it's not an inaccuracy. Then I just committed one inaccuracy. So on higher depths, the engine says this is the best move. It's very logical. I'm putting pressure here, here, and here. And also, I want to check over here. So my queen is serving multi-purposes. It's very hard to defend, actually. The engine says it's minus 0.4, but only with very precise play for white. And it's very hard to play here. So my opponent here decides to go rook c3, trying to not lose this pawn. But here I find a sequence of strong moves. I go check, and I go here. And the problem for her is that these pawns are hanging. All pawns, actually, that I highlighted are hanging. And she cannot defend all of them. The rook has to stay guarding this. The queen has to go here to guard this, but then I take this one. And finally, I'm up a pawn. So I've won the pawn, but the king is still in the center. So yes, because my king potentially could also be harassed by her pieces, she could try to get some counterplay and find a way to maybe perpetually check me or something like that. But obviously I'm playing for a win, and now I have an extra pawn, and I was very confident in this position, even though I was not feeling too well. I was like, initially when I started playing this game, I thought I'll try to make a quick draw and go home to my hotel room and try to get some sleep, to start to try to feel better. But there is a rule, Sofia rule, so-called, named after the capital of Bulgaria, Sofia. There's a rule in this tournament that you cannot offer a draw before move 30, which is a good rule in my opinion. It promotes fighting chess. No quick draws. Only a quick draw would be possible if there is a move repetition, like the Berlin draw, for example. But we didn't play the Berlin. So I had to play. I thought that if the position is equal by move 30, I'll offer a draw. And this is move 30. And of course, I decided, okay, I have to play on. I have to win this game. I'm definitely, maybe not winning, but much better and with an extra pawn. So I continue. So queen d5 was the last move. This pawn is also hanging. So she could have gone b3. Probably I would have gone a4. And b3 is the best move. But she decided to go for active counterplay, which is very understandable. She goes rook c7, trying to put pressure on this side of the board, potentially. But the problem is that I have this strong move, queen b5 check. And she probably was expecting me to take this pawn, which would be an inaccuracy. And then she has queen c3, for example, and trying to trade the rooks and go for some checks to my king. And it would be quite unpleasant. Maybe it's still winning, but it's harder, much harder. But instead of taking this pawn, I check her and I take this pawn. And the difference is that now her queen is again glued to the defense of the f2 pawn. So she cannot go trying to put pressure on me, because then I'll take her f2 pawn and checkmate her. So this is completely losing for white. If she goes, for example, I don't know what she can do here, actually. Like, all moves lose. She goes f3, trying to free the queen from the defense of the square. Next move, maybe she can go here or here, try to create some threats. But I find the best move according to the engine, rook g8. I now want to infiltrate like this. You say, why doesn't white go here? Well, there's a beautiful refutation, a rook g1 check. And she has to take, I take here, 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 and the pawn endgame is winning for me because I'm up a pawn in a pawn endgame, and this is a passed pawn, and I'm easily winning. So that's the problem for her. She cannot go rook c1, and I'm threatening the sequence of moves that happened in the game. You will see it shortly. So she went a3 because she has nothing else to do, and I checked her. Again, if she goes rook c1, I have this beautiful rook g1, takes, 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 and winning pawn endgame. So she sees that. Because of this, she does not block. She goes here, but here I have a series of forcing moves winning the rook. And even though I was feeling, frankly speaking, not too well and not able to calculate too well, I was able to calculate like 5 moves in a row because it's a very easy continuation. So check, 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 and check. And she's losing the rook because it's a so-called shish kebab on the board. And here she made a couple of more moves, check, and I went here, and she resigned because if she takes this with check, then I have a counter check, and I merge a rook up in this endgame, and if she doesn't take, then I'll checkmate her in a couple of moves like this. There are various checkmates that are possible. Queen e6, Queen d6, everything is a checkmate here. So I get this clean win, nice win. I emerge with 3.5 out of 5 points. I'm adding some rating on the basis of these games. I think close to 30 rating points, which is not bad. Please drop a comment if you like this game. And if you wish me to get well, also, please write a comment. It will help the video. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.